It's time. Welcome back to the North American Apprentice Team League. After 7 hard-fought weeks of drama, excitement, and questionable and not-so-questionable decisions, we've made it this far to the top 4 teams. Exon twice, AlphaX and Genesis Gaming. Yes, Team Exon manages to get 2 teams into the top 4. Not a mistake, they're just that good, but will they be able to go all the way? Well, first, though, find out their challenger. Let me introduce Jimmy! Oh my god! Panic. First is Panic. Alright, we do it live. Maybe a little too live. Don't worry, I'm sure neither of these players is particularly cheesy. In case you didn't hear the wink and a nudge on that one. Let me first introduce, for your North American Team League semifinals, for Team AlphaX, the Grand Master Terran, Vindicta. And in the top left, leading his team as well, Genesis Gaming's Peely. I don't know why I said it so subtly. But on Submarine, a best of 5. It is best. We're still doing best of 5. I'm pretty sure we're still doing best of 5. Now, you would think I'd been able to read the... Wait, let me check the bracket. Wait. It's best of 7, yep. I really, there were so many opportunities to not fail at that. But unlike these players and their success so far, I did. I took the little taken road to failure. So we're going to be seeing potentially most of these teams' rosters tonight. Now, I think both teams hope in very different ways that doesn't happen, but we will see. Peely starts out with a gate expand. Vindicta, nothing particularly untoward or toward their opponent's base. Don't want to start things up. It is effectively a best of 1 in these matches. A new player's coming in for the next one. So you want to start your team off strong. Looks like Peely opting towards Blink, but of course DTs are always on the menu. Whereas on the other side, Vindicta, potentially Hellions, but Widowmine dropped is always the bread and buttered biscuit. Looks like it is going to be Hellions to open it up. Shield battery at the front from Peely. Not potentially walling off his mineral line. He might slap a couple gates to the side to wall off against exactly what it is Vindicta is doing. He's got enough gas and soon to be enough minerals to start the blink. Starport's on the way as well. Alright, everything off to a relatively slow start. There have been weeks where we've seen games that are less than... Well, games that were ending around this stage. This will not be one of them. North America is a treacherous place. You live fast, you die hard. As we've seen in so many matchups. Blink is on the way. Peely... I trust his Blink Micro. He trusts his Blink Micro. How does this happen? Why is there a Stalker who's out here? He was obviously looking for something, like a proxy starport or something, but he happens to find the Hellions. Vindicta not going to be particularly happy about that, but it's not actually Hellions, though. It looks like Hellions. But, no. Instead, it's Widowmines with an armory. And Peely did make a run. He's playing it very safe. But Vindicta opts for the armory behind it, which means those Widowmines remain cloaked. And if Peely hadn't gone for the robo, things would be in quite a tough spot. think Peely's got an idea of what's coming out. Just seeing 2 Hellions is already suspicious in and of itself, but apparently not suspicious enough to stop these first Hellions, well, first Widowmines from getting out, but targeting down the medevac here. The Widowmine will and unburrow, but retargeting, looking for more opportunities. He decides he just takes a probe. A lot of mining time lost. Not usually as big a factor as casters will make it out to be, but that wasn't insignificant. And of course, there's another round. So far, Peely has shut it down pretty quickly. Saw the medevac quick, reacted quick. Another medevac's on the way. There's an observer sitting right over the front. It may have spotted the medevac on the way out, or, well, usually when you're going for Armory Widowmine drops, you don't just stop at one. It's a bit of an investment for only a single medevac. Drilling, well, he's, I don't know if this is for the observer's benefit, or he actually wants the upgrade, but the observer taken out, but unfortunately, Peely blinks right past, same time. Widowmine drop going into the main. Blink at the back, starting to do a lot of damage here, but the Widowmine drop will drag Peely's attention to the other side of the map. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick those up and get them out. You can just split them up, try to maximize the amount of time the Widowmines actually stay alive. The probes have to run back. So far, Peely not able to get too much done. The prism itself taken down, probably the most important part. The most dangerous thing for Vindicta. I'm not sure this is an unsafe working environment for the SCVs. They come back, despite there being stalkers. You knew those stalkers were there. That was a little ambitious. Snipes the observer, so Peely losing all his robo units. But Vindicta, they're still there. They're still stalkers. They're still there. Okay, the stalker is taking a beating on the way out, but several more SCVs. I think Vindicta was trying to maneuver his Widowmines in Peely's base. So, Vindicta taking a few more hits than he would have liked from the Blink Stalkers. He was actually able to shut down pretty hard. Peely not on as stable of an economy as he'd like to be on 3 base. He's sitting on 50 probes now. He didn't lose too many, but losing the Prism and losing a few observers is not going to help things too much. Overall, it is Peely's initiative. He's going to go straight for the bunker. It looks like Vindicta salvaged the other one. He's going to be regretting that decision, as now it's certain he's going to lose over 100 minerals. He does have a 3rd CC in the main, so it's not like he can't compete as the game goes on, but you don't want to just let a Protoss camp out on your front lawn, angrily staring at anyone who comes out and potentially murdering them, which is even worse, arguably. One, 2 siege tanks, more than enough. Peely does have another observer. Vindicta may try to snipe it, though it's in just far enough away that it seems a bit like a bait, more than anything. Peely not adding too many probes. The scan is going to spot the 3rd, but also there's no gas. So with no gas, you don't got any of those fancy-pantsy units that Terrans are so worried about. You got Templar, you got Colossi. But of course, the most basic of units, the charge lot, is a real and present danger in high enough numbers. The armory is already done, but Vindicta quite slow on getting his 1-1 upgrades. He's been focused on pumping out the units and getting another command center here. That command center's been done for a while, which means his worker count ain't too bad. Though the incomes are a little rough, you gotta look at the scale of it. It's only about 300-400 more for Peely here. Able to slip something out, but Peely looking for the 3rd. Vindicta, of course. Well, the Stalkers are on the other side of the map. They're busy right now. Picks up 1. Vindicta has options here. A Marauder. Oh, taken down. Snipes the Observer, though. Meanwhile, back on the other side, Peely. Well, there is... Oh, Drilling Claws! Not expected. He gets in. Does he actually get out with it as well? Oh my god, he does. Though he's a strong gust of wind from not making it out at all. So, Vindicta making some moves. And now only 4 probes down, 4 workers down. Peely coming in with the bludgeon. Not a finesse-oriented build here. The charge lots, the meat and the potatoes of the composition. Just a whole lot of charge lots looking to charge down the front door. 1-1 is still about 10 15 seconds off, about 10 seconds for Vindicta. He could really use that in this fight. Unfortunately, the fight may already be over. The Widowmines with Drilling Claws actually helping out a lot here. With 1-1 finishing, the Hallucinated Colossi, a cute move. Vindicta losing a lot in the initial fight. A few SCVs at the third going down, and Peely looking to hammer the point home. The command center itself vulnerable. A Liberator headed out to slow Peely down potentially, but it's going from... Oh yeah, he flew right by there. Trying to make things difficult. Peely gonna get away just barely in time. Still gonna lose 3 probes, but 12 SCV... Oh, that was ambitious Hallucinated Colossus. I'm not sure if Peely actually saw the double drop head out. That could make things complicated here. There should be recall. Yeah, there's no cooldown. In fact, Peely's at full energy. So very impressive energy storage there from Peely. Oh, the Warpin's easily gunned down. Third base going to be taken. There's actually a Dark Templar there. Here's the recall. Medevac's already on their way out. I'm not sure what happened to the other medevac with the mines, but I don't see another medevac with mines, so I think that tells most of the story. The DT concussive shells is complete. Oh, and an EMP deals with the other one. It's still, at this point, Peely's game to lose. Peely has... Actually, now he's been inspired by his Hallucinated Colossi into building some real Colossi. He's got 2 of those on the way. And against the players going Ghost, EMPs are good, but the Colossi keep them in arm's reach. Well, very long arms. Much longer than the arms that that the Marines and Marauders are bearing. And that's kind of the point. Also, DT Blink. So, Vindicta does have an armory right here. He could just slap down the 2-2 himself. Terrans seem to be reluctant to do that almost across the board. He's going to begrudgingly acknowledge there are more upgrades in the game, but yeah, it'll be comparable with Peely, but he'll have a +2 advantage, and of course, he's going to be leaning more on the unit combat. A very lucky probe. Very lucky probe there. Some charge lots always ready at the ready. That made sense. Waiting for their opportunity. The standoff continues. Both players dangerous at this point, but Peely, like, Vindicta can't make a misstep here. There's no mistakes allowed left. Not at these unit compositions, not at this economy. Though Peely hasn't made that many probes, Peely has a little more leeway because of the lead he's had for a while now. It's unlikely the 4th base is going to be too much of a focal point, but if Vindicta does send out units. Oh, some mines. Unfortunately, the mines easily going to be dispatched. I might give away the position. And Peely adding on... The map is dark and full of Terrans. Peely knows this. It's very likely if Vindicta's not going to be moving out with his main army, he's going to try something a little more subtle. So the attempt here is to limit that. There's not too many places on Submarine that Vindicta could go. Peely is nearly maxed out. He's got DTs with Blink. Probe finally gets taken out. A drop heading in towards the natural. Is there a Widowmine involved? No, it's just Bio. Vindicta's getting kind of close to maxing out the Forge itself. He could pick up and try to get out. Oh, slick move, but a double drop in the main. Some of that will be cleaned up, but some of it will draw back the Stalkers of Peely. Meanwhile, the pylons out on the map being dealt with. One Marine left alive. A surprising but welcome move. They're now the most unlikely team. 2 probes and 5 DTs. But, I mean, this buddy cop movie seems to be going well enough. I don't know if the probes just go their separate ways. The blink out of the scan. Oh. The blink keeping those DTs alive, but Peely not huge on having an economy. He's at 60 probes. I said that because right now Vindicta, well, for a while he's had more income. It's about to change. He hallucinates. Oh, he's mixing and matching here. Some hallucinated, some real. That's a lot of Widowmines, though. The charge lots are going to evaporate. The front lines are gone. The scans are there. The EMPs across the board. Disruptor's not finding the mark. And just like that, Peely gets slapped down. How to lose 30 charge lots or so in a split second. The perfect defense from Vindicta between the EMPs and the Whittle Mines. Peely just walked into a death trap. And so while Peely had the army advantage, he had the initiative, the issue is now he never made those probes. He doesn't have that massive economy that sometimes you can fall back on. And what that means instead... we'll see if Vindicta realizes that the DTs are involved. Always good for defense. That means he can't rebuild this army that easily. He doesn't have gas at the 4th. He doesn't have that much mineral income. Killing some probes is almost a permanent endeavor, and while Vindicta has lost a few SCVs over the last minute or two, Peely is in less comfortable footing than before. 3-3 has not started, +2/+2 has completed. Peely able to compete a little bit better on the upgrades, but this has gone from Peely... Maybe he thought he saw... No, he's seeing ghosts now. Wait. Stop looking in the mirror, Ghost. This is not a mirror matchup. How spooky. Yeah, that was odd. Anyways, it works. Okay, good. Double Disruptor. The splits are okay. And the Disruptors themselves vulnerable. Gets a Ghost and some tanks. Their DT's ready to blink. A little suspicious here. Peely trying to be cute with it. A lot of Warpins. It's still Vindicta forced to play defensive. He's now getting a 4th. Peely's expanding towards him, somewhat awkwardly. The DTs are a relatively expensive commitment, and if it just doesn't go right here, there is that turret. He sees the DTs, but the EMPs hit. The tanks are sieging, microing back. The tanks are exposed, but the DTs themselves, the Vikings in a great position to knock them over. The charge lots evaporate. There's still 3 Colossi, which is a deadly number, especially to anything but Marauders here. And GG is called as Peely steps forward, able to carry the momentum through. And Genesis Gaming opens up 1-0. It looked a little dicey when 15 Whittle Mines... Okay, it wasn't 15, it was like 9, but it was enough Whittle Mines to be concerning. It was definitely an uncomfortable amount of Whittle Mines, and Peely didn't have detection, which is why it became such an issue. Unfortunately, though, Peely went for the very safe, Blink Robo. Some players will try to go Blink, skip the Robo, and use, Hallucination for high ground. And some players will be so focused on the other side of the map that they don't really have anything at home to defend. But Peely was like, you know what? No shenanigans. Longer game, no shenanigans. I think I got it. It was a little dicey near the end, but he did get it. And Genesis Gaming out to a strong 1-0. And let's... Jimmy, bring me the rosters. Oh my god. How hard is this? As we are going to best of 7, which I don't even know how Team Exon is handling that. They gotta have so many great players. But we'll see. As you can see here. In the group stage, it literally came down to a single match. Both Genesis Gaming and Exon Nina managed 15-15 in the group stages, edging out Psystorm at 14-16. And the NA Clowns at 13-17 with a strong showing. Risen from the Gosu didn't have their ideal run and were a little further back. But it was a couple matches away from going either way. So some of that comes down to the team captain just picking the right players for the right time. And, remember the match they played when Nina and Peely... I forget who won. I think Peely won in the Nina versus Peely ZVZ, but I'm not 100%. And that made it so that AlphaX and Genesis are facing. That's what decided the tiebreak. Otherwise, Team Exon either... Well... You see... With this dramatic and long-winded of a team league, maybe the decisions you made, rashly and weak, was that one? One or two, have repercussions down the line. For better, well, it depends on who wins this, what matters. So, let me first introduce you, and I forgot to tell them to... Okay. In completely different than their team colors, but here we are. Let's use your imagination. Or just remember. Is also works. Is also works. Yes, this is why I do the English commentaries. In the top left for Team AlphaX is Trigger. A Protoss. And in the bottom right, for Genesis Gaming, Igor. Protoss versus Zerg is a very different... Like, I was about to go full caster. Like, very different, but also similar matchup. No, it's this time there's a Zerg instead of a Terran. Okay, that's what's different. It's not that complicated. There's a whole different set of units that are used much of the time. Blink Stalkers not as popular. Marines definitely not as popular, especially now that infested Terrans don't exist, so they can't even make a cameo appearance. Oh, yeah, it's best of 7. Best of 7. A full series here. And the winner goes on to the finals. And for that delicious pride, and more importantly, prize money, yes. Okay, will it be, I know it's gonna sound crazy, a Stargate? Oh, the ultimate duel. The probe finally vacates the premises, but does it? Does a probe ever... Like, probes have been living rent-free in people's heads for 22 years about now. 23 years now. Okay. At this point, they need to grow up, they need to move out, get a job. And maybe not a job building cannons. We'll see. Maybe building cannons, I don't know. Of course it's a Stargate. Like, 80% of the time it's a Stargate. Every time. Maybe marginally under that, but I'm willing to commit to at least 70%. And for good reason. The Stargate gives you it gives you map control, vision. You can still all in with it. Like, a Stargate not only doesn't stop you from doing some sort of all in, but in fact it can mask it. Well, what, you just kill the Overlords. They can't see anything. That's all they got. They don't got map hack level scans. They don't also have the ability to build a Stargate, build a Void Ray, kill their Overlords. What are they gonna do? Buy Overlord speed? Like, remember when Overlord speed got a discount to 75.75? And that was just way too OP. And now this price has skyrocketed back to 100, and now nobody gets it? Yeah. Come on, Overlord speed? What a joke. He's never gonna know what's happening in this base. A Void Ray comes out, its prismatics are fully aligned. And melts through the Ovi. And what a bold play from Trigger here. Instead of doing some sort of tech follow-up, 1 Void Ray, 2 gateways, 3rd base. Not particularly greedy, because this is about as many units as you need to defend against anything but a full-fledged all-in out of Zern. But some players will try to mix and match something in off the 2 base. But Trigger just, well, you know what's better? Okay. You know what's better than 1 Stargate? 5 Stargates. But let's find a middle ground. 2 Stargates. Here we go. Meanwhile, Igor building up the queen count. Queens, hashtag Yas Queens. Probably the best early game Zerg unit for any purpose. No matter what that purpose, what about mining minerals? 1, don't be that guy. And how do you think you get enough drones? Larva inject. How do you larva inject? Queens. You see, we're right back there. It only took 1 extra step. Oracle. Oracle finds 3 kills, but heavily bruised on its way out. Igor is sitting on 55 drones and counting, but Trigger on 3 Nexi. Feeling comfortable with double Stargate Void Ray. Is not slowing down his probe production either. So, we have a bit of a macro game. I'm not sure where that... A 4th drone died somewhere. Maybe he was going... Maybe... Wait. But... I don't know what got the kill, actually. Because the Oracle only has 3 kills. So... Interesting. Meanwhile, though, the transition somewhat into ground... Is that probe stuck? No. Yes? Yes? Is that a house probe now? No, it just walks out. Ah, classic. You thought you could get away with not working. There will be no unemployment for the Protoss. Overlord speed? Well, it already... The Overseer already does its job. Scouts. 4 Void Rays on the way. And there's probably more Void Rays behind that. I mean, they named a whole expansion after it. So, Void Rays getting a discount. Not getting their discount rescinded, no. Not like Overlord speed. But instead, the Void Ray is still cheaper than they were a couple years ago. A little faster and a little more intimidating. Fleet Beacon in Robo Bay on the way as we sprint up the tech tree, growing like bamboo over here. Meanwhile, though, Igor, not looking to be outdone, has an infestation pit. Though his 4th is actually almost on par with the Protoss, only marginally quicker. And the worker counts are reaching towards 70 and beyond. We'll have to see what army compositions we finally land on. It looks like Trigger's just going straight to carriers. Alright? I mean, he's throwing a few disruptors in. Which is real spicy here. He's going to be severely lacking in actual ground army. But disruptors, of course, have ruined games for both sides of this matchup before. Disruptors can be amazing right up until they hit nothing, and then you feel real impotent. Though, I'd say overall, Trigger has the tech initiative. Like, he's committing. He's going all out. Like, the Void Rays are denying these Overseers. If only there was some sort of upgrade that helped the Overseers get more information more quickly. Unfortunately, that upgrade is far too expensive nowadays. So I don't think anyone's considered it. So that way you can figure out whether or not your opponent is going for carriers, and maybe you should get like a Spire or something. Because going for any sort of significant ground army that doesn't involve at least Hydras is risky business now. The creep is continuing to spread. 5 Vipers. As the tenuous non-aggression continues. Brenda! No, what? Don't stand right next to her. Social distancing. Don't you see the tag? Classic. Well, yeah, this is not a happy time. I think Igor is kind of just freeing up supply here. Yep, yep. Oh, I'm really surprised. Trigger just shows the yeah, like, that's kind of a mistake, I think. There was no reason. Well, one, doesn't kill the roaches. It's a little late to hide the carriers now. Yeah, I think he knows about the carriers now, Trigger. Okay. Yeah, the roaches definitely saw the carriers, so I don't know what the long-term plan is there. There's a spire on the way. Yeah, he saw the carrier. We're pretty confident. Maybe Trigger needs a second hotkey to control his army. Yeah, I went there. I said it. Or maybe even a first one at this rate. I don't know. But, what do you think you are, Trigger? Zerg? 18 more drones for Igor. But Igor's also... Well, we're settling in almost before anything. So far, Trigger has lost a Stalker and a Probe. And a Shield Battery. That's it. In 10.5... What is this, Age of Empires? Not for long. Here we go. Flux Veins +3. Charge Carriers +1 ground attack. That's a Sky Toss army. Oh my god, the Lurker. Let us up! The Lurkers, they have their Hive Tech upgrades, though. Oh, I don't know, Kev. I mean, Parasitic Bomb is an option. There aren't enough Templar. Okay. Calls for his friends. Oh, the Disruptors. Oh, the Yanks, but the Disruptions go off. Honestly, I don't think Disruptors are particular. One very brave Zergling. Emotional support Zergling. I can do it. Don't be scared. If I can attack that base, so can you, Zerg Army. Oh, snipes the Oracle. Another few intercept. How many interceptors? 71 interceptors. You can't directly... You know what would actually be good against this army that's minimal on storms because it has no storm? I'm gonna say it. Microbial Shroud. This is the scenario for Microbial Shroud. Minimal to no storms against almost pure Sky Toss. If there were ever a time to bring the Shroud, it would be now. But, like, you can't know those Templar don't have storms unless they don't have the energy. Neither of them seems that willing to commit to an attack. Protoss, of course, has recall. Here come the Lunkers. Without Storm, though, this army not as... Oh, the Disrupt. Oh, my God. The Hydras can't figure out where they want to go. Feedbacks across the board. The Vipers are almost useless, and it's all over. Unfortunately, many Zergs have been in this position before. Igor never finding a battle to pick. The Vipers come up. The Templar are like, no. It's like, oh, do you like my new outfit? No. In that's that. Putting together an army capable of... Well, here come some Corruptors. Unfortunately, the Corruptors are going to be dealing with +3 attack carriers, which is quite an effort. The Lurker is not the most useful in this scenario, now that almost everything on the ground is dead anyways. The Queens, last in line to die. They're holding for now. The Corruptor count isn't high enough. Still building some Lurkers, which is a bit of a interesting call. The Interceptor count is dwindling. So Igor is... Oh, Yanks tonight. There you go. Okay, it ain't over yet. The Interceptor count actually dwindled enough, and I can't get enough of that word. It's a fun word. But it has dwindled enough that the carriers are not the be-all, end-all. Unfortunately, though, the Templar count has not dwindled significantly. And it is Igor's supply and bank, on the other hand, that has been doing the majority of the dwindling. And now we're here. So, Igor is not dead, but it feels like this was almost over before it started. Trigger is one good fight away from taking this back, or tying it up for AlphaX. More lurkers. A surprising amount of lurkers coming out. As the majority of Trigger's supply is in that Sky Toss. In fact, I feel like if Trigger does somehow lose this game, and he's in a commanding position, but if he does somehow lose, his lack of pressing the issue when he had just obliterated that fight with carriers will be to blame. Now, he still has a very good position here. And it's very likely, well, one step at a time. There are the feedbacks. Gets 2 Vipers and doesn't kill a carrier. Oh. I mean, Igor's starting to build up the army, and he's starting to make the moves, but it's just so hard to find an angle to fight this army. The range of feedback and of carriers are both dangerous enough that you kind of just have to catch them off guard. Without the lurkers are to kill the Templar, of course, but if they don't actually serve that purpose, then it's going to be very difficult to get anything done. Trying to get some changelings in the lurkers. We'll zone out the Templar as we, it's still tenuous here, but Igor's been, we've got Storms killing changelings, which is definitely a decision you can make. Igor's still going. I mean, he didn't lose a decisive fight. He got punched in the face really hard, but he staggered back, and he built units that actually kill carriers, so here we are. There go... Oh, come on. Okay, okay. It was... Oh, it's starting to trigger me how many of these units are getting away, which I guess is appropriate. Oh, there's a lot of feedbacks, but at the same... Well, wait, where's the anti-air? Does he just kill him? Wait, the Spore Crawlers trying to help. A bunch of lurkers. The lurkers come up. I'm not sure what the lurkers are expecting to accomplish here. The interceptor count should be high enough. He's just kind of burning down the lurkers. It feels like not all the carriers are getting involved in the group activity. But here come the Void Rays. It's like half the armies are fighting here. One Void Ray goes. The Queen's, of course, here to bear the brunt of it, as they always end up having to do. Oh, it's a bit unlikely of a consume target. Yeah, the lurker count was a little too high, and the actual anti-air count was significantly too low. The Hydras being rallied out. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like enough forces will be mustered, nor catch up in this game. And despite 1-1 on the ground finishing up, Vipers don't actually... Like, so far, Igor has not had enough units that actually kill these units. He's kind of been setting himself up to kill an army that doesn't exist right now, as opposed to this army. Oh, Parasitic Bomb. Splits off the Void Ray. A little bit of... And then he sends it back because Trigger likes his one hotkey. The DT's gonna slice through. Wow, they do so much damage. They do kill some of the spines, but... Trigger needs to pull the trigger on this one. He needs to go kill him. I mean, he doesn't need to, but... Starting to feel a little mean. I know he's being careful. It's a lot of expensive things to control. But... Some parasitic bombs could... Oh, it bites off... Oh, and he doesn't kill a single Tempest. Ooh. Oh, come on. Can I call a technical knockout here? Oh, no. I feel like at some point, the Abduct should just kill a unit. Like, every 5th Abduct should just kill the unit abducted. I think that's fair. It's getting a little rough. You know, here's what Trigger knows. AlphaX actually needs 35 more minutes before their next player is ready. So he's been told to make the game 50 minutes long. Okay. So that would explain this. So it's just he's playing for his team right now. Alright, the Viper count is... He's building so many lurkers. It's just too many lurkers. Like, you can't have 15 lurkers against an army. Like, 15 lurkers even to counter the 4 Templar. Like, the entirety of the ground army is 12 supply right now. Yeah. For the entirety of the ground army for Trigger is 12 supply. Igor has more than 1 lurker for every supply of ground army. 15 lurkers, well 14 no, is 42 ground army supply. Which just seems like a bit of an over-allocation of resources, especially against such a Void Ray heavy composition. Now, Team AlphaX's Bibbs says he wouldn't do that. But, I mean, he is a Protoss who named himself Trigger, so maybe he just took it upon himself. Of the names you could name yourself, especially with the capital GG in the center, I will say, he isn't the least likely person to toy with his food that you'd ever meet, I guess. If you lined them up, and you said, which one of these players makes games take an extra 15 minutes? He'd be near the top of the list. Just arbitrarily. 12.2 thousand minerals, 6,900 gas in the bank, which I think is, his army right now is worth half that, about. I mean, Igor has begrudgingly built a solid army. Oh, no, do we really need more lurkers? Okay, we're gonna build some more lurkers. Okay, 4 more lurkers, which is, that's a lot of lurkers out of Igor. Lurkers are good units. Corruptors do not feel like good units, I will say that. But, I'm not... Okay, well, Trigger has both corner bases, which is never a good sign in any situation. The lurkers burrow for dramatic effect. The Archon of intimidation. I mean, Archons are amazing. Yeah, and the lurkers will counter it. Actually, no, they'll die. So. Well, that base kind of dies. Here come the Void Rays. Wait a second. If all the Corruptors and all the Vipers are over in the top right, then what's... Oh. Yeah. Trigger was able to do the math on that one. Oh, the Lurker's getting very forward. Observers, and then the Void Race. Okay. Yeah, 11 Vipers, 22 Corruptors. I guess the army supply is massive. Trigger now has 39 cannons, 27 shield batteries. Here come the Lurkers. Where are the Templar? Oh my god, good yanks there. Finally getting some. Oh, and the Lurkers wander into the... the Templar wander into the Lurkers. Meanwhile, the Void Rays are fighting it out directly with Spore Crawlers. I mean, they're gonna win. This base is mined out of gas and mostly out of minerals, so I guess Igor doesn't really need it. he is running out of bases he can actually get. So, a surprisingly small amount of anything lost for a 25-minute game. As Trigger has lost less than 20,000 resources, Igor has lost nearly 3 times, going on 3 times that much. So the gas is a little closer than you'd like. Gets an Oracle. Oh, there's more where that... Okay, stop it. Stop with the... It's time to stop with the lurkers. It's like a nervous tick. I don't know. Lurkers. Lurkers not particularly well known for their carrier countering ability. The thing... Well, Corruptors are. That's kind of their thing. Oh my god, the amount of carriers that have survived the Corruptors is too damn high here. This is actually getting a little... okay, it's over. Alright. Wow, that was something. It's all tied up now. That was, Igor put up a determined fight. But it was, in the end, too much to overcome. It's all tied up 1-1. Well, I think it was apparent. Obviously, we're playing in the semifinals. The nerves. Also, Trigger did seem to be very reliant on a relatively minimal amount of hotkeys. Igor, on the other hand, like, what is the answer is Zerg to Sky Toss. And, like, I'm gonna sound a little like Loco here, just bitching about things I don't understand. But, Sky Toss, once it's finally, like, once all the Lego pieces are put together, it is a difficult composition to digest. Like, there's a lot of dangerous parts. There's the carriers and Void Rays themselves, which carriers the counter as Corruptors. All of it is semi-countered by Vipers, but only on paper, because practically Vipers don't... As Winter says, team colors for team marketing. I'm sorry. I didn't know Genesis Gaming, which is listed as red and black in their logo, should be green. Of all things. Pillars of Gold. I'm just trying to do good branding, and if you want to help with good branding, use the NATL command and check out how to support the North American Team League. We got the semifinals this week, we got the finals next week. I think that game gave us a team to root for or against, depending on who you are and what you like. One way or another, that's what we got out of that. Okay, so, well, I was about to be like, well, which one? Doesn't matter. They're tied up 1-1. Let me first introduce from Genesis Gaming, the Zerg in the bottom left. It's NYK. And in the top right, the Protoss player for Team AlphaX, channeling his inner zest. Asuna. Oh wait, how much is he channeling it? Uh-oh. I'd like to, for the record, I'd like to state Trigger has appeared in the chat as we do it live. And he said, did people think I was actually trolling? And then he would like to have it stated for the record, I'm adding a little. I'm just a, quote, pussy player. Which is perfectly fine, because he did play like a little bit of a Sky Toss bitch. But this is why people complain about Sky Toss, is because sometimes the Zerg gets impatient or maybe a little underprepared. And then, well... And then it's all over. It's, as the old saying goes, either you die the cannon rusher or live long enough to go carriers. You know what one has to do to stay honorable. The probe drawing a lot of attention. They're both the villain. Hey! That's a matter of perspective. I'm 1/3 Protoss myself, and I fully support the condemnation of both types of Protoss. So, they both deserve it. I'm a bit of a macro player myself. I like to lose because I didn't go carriers. That's my favorite way to play Protoss. It's like you could have just gone carriers, but instead you died to Hive-Tech Lurkers because you're an honorable Protoss. Thank you very much. A Stargate with a Zealot next to it. Wait, was this a Nexus first and I just wasn't paying any attention? Or... I think it was that. Otherwise, why would you build a Zealot that early? Wow, I was still annoyed at the last 15 minutes. Oh, come on with this. Oh, no. Oh. No, 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 no. Stop right there. Disgusting. No. Stop it. Stop. No, no more. I don't want any more. Stop. Oh, no. We're just gonna skip the whole warp gate idea, aren't we? Because there's another type of gate that Protoss players are big fans of. The real star of the show, if you would. Oh no. Brenda! Where are you going? Why didn't you drop the creep tumor before? Oh well. Hey, growing pains. The Void Ray glides towards the nearest overlords, or where they should be. Oh. He was queued up. I don't think it was spotted. So the Overlord will live. I don't know if the Overlord spotted the Void Ray, but I'm pretty sure the Zerglings that were sitting at the front when the Void Ray were building. So the beauty of this is when you get +1 this early. Oh wow, he's just really skipping to the point, isn't he? A fleet beacon and another Stargate. It looks like Warp Gate with the Cyber Core upgrading. No one would be so bold and so blatant as to just get +1 air weapons, but Asuna, looking to follow up in his illustrious teammate strategies, realized that the true strength of carriers is having them at all. So, is that Overlord speed? How did he find the money for that? Wow. 100 minerals gone. And 100 gas as well. For what purpose? Just to scout that it's going to be... Well, actually, oh no. Oh, it's gonna be real... That recall. 1, super sus. Also, oh no. Oh. Oh no. Oh, Overlord drops. It's the German taxi build. Oh. Here we go. I mean, I don't actually know if this is gonna... Well, 1, there's no third. I'm not sure where the... Yeah, they adjust to the other third. The carrier's still not spotted, but It is only one carrier. Okay, a second carrier. But 2 carriers against 6 queens. Queens are great. They just need a little bit of a lift. You see, didn't we used to fly? Not since the accident. Shut up, Karen. So, combat queens on the way. I have no idea how he's going to react to the carriers, but here are the carriers. There's no shield batteries besides the one in the very back. The Zergling's going to provide cover on the ground. There should be enough transfuses to sew everything together. And this is usually why carriers aren't the choice early on, like out against queens in low numbers. The carriers, they need to target fire to try to even get through this. The transfuses, okay, just... NYK just kind of slowly creeping over the base. The Nexus is gone. Asuna is forced to retreat to his natural, and carriers are not a poor man's unit. You don't go carriers if you're struggling to put food on the table, okay? If you're struggling to provide a nexus for your hardworking probes, then maybe carriers are not the choice. The Queen's evacuating. They'll hop back in their getaway overlords. And most of them will go home. A successful timing from NYK. And taxis right on out of there. So killing probes and very, very importantly, killing the Nexus. You get that Nexus. 1, of course, you slow down probe production. 2, now you know you have to counter carriers. And 3, no more gas. Like, you're on 2 base gas. That's barely enough to pump out carriers and maybe an upgrade. There's no, like, adding in Storm. There's no nothing like that. You just can't do it on 2 base gas. The math, like, well...
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
NYK building a Spire. Now that he's limited the options, just knocking the carriers directly out of the sky is probably the best shot he's got. And it should be Corruptors on the way momentarily. The carriers are spotted awkwardly by the roaches, which they will. The Golden Swarm will have some opportunity to deal with. There's a couple cannons at the 3rd. 5 carriers now. Okay. But, oh, there we go. The Knitting Crew has swelled in strength. And what they don't have in upgrades, they make up for somewhat in energy, as the Queens are directly targeting a carrier. The Transfuses, as it's just the Queens. And that is so many carriers, they are just targeting them outright. The Transfuses aren't perfect here. They're having a pretty rough time, and with +2 attack, the arm of the crew is falling apart. Are there enough Corruptors? Some of the carriers bruised, but the Interceptor count is nearly maxed. It's starting to get a little dicey. That one carrier being targeted. But, deja vu. Zerg's just lost in this place before. Not enough damage, and the carriers continue to live. Oh, no. There goes the lair. There are Lings on the way, which is an interesting choice against the 5 carriers in the base. I'm not sure what the Lings are... Oh, no. Oh, no. Well. I am obligated to bring you the news that Team AlphaX is up 2-1 now, as they've intercepted the Zerg players and any strategy they might want to do and counteracted. That Void Ray recall should have been incredibly suspicious, and I'm sure it was, but like, the Void Ray recall with just enough time to block vision of the fleet beacon. That close to another minute of information. Enough time to have a Spire done as the attack ended, as opposed to starting. Let's see. Does Team AlphaX have any more Protoss? And does Genesis Gaming have... So far, Protoss is 3-0 in this match. That's where we currently stand. Next up, I'm gonna go back to the standings as well. Jimmy. Actually, AlphaX pretty comfortably taking that second place. I wasn't sure how close it was. But literally that 0 game gap. We will be seeing Exon Nina versus Cham. It's currently being played out, but I should have the replays afterwards, likely.
New subscriber detected.
Just wanted to make sure everybody was ready and could get their full rosters out, because these are best of 7s, which is a longer match as well. So you don't want people waiting until like 1 a.m. to play. The pressure of doing it live. Oh, a TVT for the ages. There will be no Protoss victory here. Unless they're forced to replace him with someone. But Future versus Practice X, aka Baby Shark X. I don't know what he's going by now. But we're going to Oxide. No Protoss. Yeah, Protoss has a better way to put it. Protoss has yet to lose
It's about time.
in this match. There you go. Oh, Forever X. Yes. X. So, coming in for Team Alpha X. Wait, oh no, this is gonna get confusing. The American Terran Future. And for X Gen G X, it is Practice X, aka Forever X. So, now that we got all that out of the way, we get the beauty and the drama that is Terran versus Terran, the chess boxing match, where if we survive through the early game, it's, well, most of TVT, a little unlike the other mirror matchups, is small bouts of punching each other in the face, followed by long gaps of posturing and scans and poking and prodding, but rarely actual engagement. It really does depend if either player wants to really press the issue on 1 or 2 bays. There's options for it. Get air superiority. This map has one of those disgusting tank locations where you can potentially shell the add-ons of your opponent, which early on can be game-losing. Neither player sending out an early SCV. There's just a scout. It should be just a scout, though. Should be just a scout. A little late, maybe, for a scout. Well, we'll see. You never know. We all know weak Terrans build in the main, but that's not as true as it was. Oh, he just gets in. Not that it matters. Like, I don't know why I think getting in matters. He actually doesn't get baited. Like, and then he'll see that there's a barracks in a factory, which is exactly what I'm doing. No expo, barracks, and factory. How crazy is that? The SCVs meet on the way out. And now the shadow boxing begins. With 1 SCV and 1 Reaper. Well, will Future actually use the SCV? No. They're both sending him back to their corners. No, none of that, like using the SCV to body block a couple shots and bully your way up the ramp. A passive-ish start. Future pokes his head out on the map looking for something he won't find, but good to be diligent about it. And of course you can't know that till you take a look around. reactor following it up. When are the add-ons slapped on? It looks like Future going to be the first one. Going to have a reactor and a tech lab, whereas Practice X is opting for 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions, which means he kind of is obligated to put himself out there. There may be a window to do damage, because it's kind of a bit of a add-on chicken. Because once you slap that reactor on especially, it's quite a while until you're able to get more units on the field. There's just a gap in production. And that's why Future is backed off to the high ground, and that's why Practice X might get the tiny opportunity. No, a split second too late. Future timing it out. Practice X, a little bit of hesitation on coming up the ramp. That tank on the high ground going to make things difficult. Oh yeah, he baited him into the tank shot, and suddenly Future will turn what looked to be an outnumbered and rough situation into a win here. Now the question will be what's happening behind it. What's the follow-up here? Who was more on top of the rest of their build? Both sides. Well, Future will get a slightly slower second gas at the natural, or third gas rather. He's opting for a medevac to pressure with the D. Yeah, he's going to get up in Practice X's grill to an extent. I don't know how much he's going to commit to this, but a quicker Raven out of Forever X. Oh, what? What? No, you can't. No, you don't. What? Okay, well, that's. Yeah. Wow. He just really put himself. He just dunked his face down. Ow, I can't believe. That was an incredibly bold move. He can target the SCVs. He's going to find. Is it 6, 7? This is actually a lot of damage done here. Like, if he loses the medevac and the tank, it maybe gets a little rough. Oh, he doesn't lose the medevac. Wow, he just slapped the tank down on his front lawn like, now you got to deal with this. And he did, but I think there was a little bit of shock from Practice X there. He's like, wait, what? There's a tank? I thought tanks didn't fly anymore. Well, they just take a little extra effort. But wow, it just kind of came out of nowhere. And being up 9 workers, and he realizes, one, it did take that auto turret. There's no chance of a counterattack. Like, the most that Practice X could really put together is maybe harassing with the Raven. But the counterattack is not an immediate thing. Like, he's not going to have multiple tanks. He's not going to have those Vikings. So Future just came in and took his lunch money, and while he'll get a slap on the wrist on the way out, it is... Oh, this is awkward. Well, I mean, neither of them can really do anything about each other right now, so... An interesting... Oh, the scan, probably looking for exactly this, whether or not it's going to be Vikings. The medevac is found. He really wants to snipe it, but doesn't quite get it. We're looking for... Well, here comes the Raven. Unfortunately, immediately locked onto. It's going to die. It doesn't get away. Oh yeah, this is not going well. That was many days too late and several $100s short. There was no scenario in which that Raven was going to be harassed on the way in. He just kind of loses it. Which adds a little insult to the injury that he suffered so far. And right now, Future is ahead on all counts. He's got more workers. He's got his upgrades quicker. He has actually one less tank. He doesn't have air control or tank control. But in the rest of the game, like, what's the best way to play defense? And obviously, a good offense. The best way to make sure you're not getting tank pushed is to tank push your opponent. So, unfortunately for Practice X, this is all going to be spotted a little bit too late here. Bit of an awkward position. Some auto turrets tanking for the tanks. A bit messy as the Vikings will snipe the Ravens. Though, are somehow less Vikings going to counter more Vikings? Practice X a little lazy on the micro, but he will come out with just one more tank or one more Viking. So this push was a little bit less clear-cut. The thing is, every second this push is happening, there's no counterattack, there's no counter damage. Here come more Vikings. Spots the tanks, and this is going to be a real massive pain to dislodge. He's down 17 workers. There's still workers rallied to the third, which is not an ideal scenario. The Vikings force the tanks. Oh, just in time lifts him up. And he can't really re-siege either. Unfortunately, not more medevacs. Oh, does he go? He's gonna go. Bringing the tanks in. He'll eat a hit. He's right on top of the other. Some of the tanks frozen by the reinforcements. The haphazard drop not gonna be enough, and that is a pretty surgical dismantling. Future is now up double supply. He started off strong, and he never left that position. Practice X not able to handle the barrage. And Future puts Team AlphaX on match point. With the bold forward tank. And no hesitation. Future... Well, okay, let's see. I'm not... On match point, do they get a... I should really know the rules beforehand. We'll see who match 5 is. But Genesis Gaming, if they got anything left in the tank... I mean, now's the time. We're not playing all matches, not anymore. This is a best of. We've determined who the top 4 teams are. Oh, yeah. We've seen Igor, NYK, and Pili Pili. Which leaves Foxer, Galaxy, Mick Monroe. I'm missing one. No, it's been 4 games, which means up against potentially a little bit of a deeper roster for Team AlphaX. They still technically have Estrella, who, as a Code S player, is quite intimidating. Well, we'll see. Coming into the next round. I believe we're on the revive phase, which is why we're seeing Vindicta again. Is that? I'm surprised to see a Team AlphaX player again. And here comes Galaxy to meet him. Protoss versus Terran. Protoss for Genesis X, and Protoss has not lost. So, Vindicta looking to carry the torch home here. As the revive. Oh, Galaxy, ready in a moment. The anticipation. I don't know. I shouldn't spoil, even if we know the result of Team Exon versus itself. I won't spoil it because we'll be looking at that afterwards as well. Ah! I was too late on telling them the colors. Well, let me first introduce in the top left once again. Not able to stand up in the first match, but looking to redeem himself here with the revive. Vindictive for Team AlphaX. He has it his way, their last player. In the bottom right, with no pressure at all besides the elimination of his entire team from the tournament, Genesis Gaming's Galaxy. This probe. Yeah, I forgot to mention, maybe pick red instead of green, as we have our seasonal match here. Unfortunately, we've reached spring. Oh. A bit of a strong side-eye there between the scouting workers. Another SCV and another SCV. Taking probes. Probes should be taken seriously. They are very serious creatures. A Marine on the way for Vindicta, but the probe is looking to block for a moment. And will get that block. You just got to be careful that... Oh. Gonna back off for now. Scouting workers match again. Cybercore on the way. And with no Reaper, that will be likely the end of the scouting from Vindicta. Reactor, and then a later factory. So this trends towards Widowmines. Still able to get enough gas, but not investing too much early. We'll see what Galaxy's pick is. Not a particularly early second gas. So likely to be a Twilight Council. Ooh. Probes debating amongst themselves. A Deb Shade looking for a Reaper that will never be coming. There you go. A bunker is on the way. Vindicta playing it safe. He's got his factory and second gas as well. Adept heading out. Factory nearly done. With enough for a Hellion? Scouting Hellion? Maybe not a Hellion. Is he... Do you know what you want? You can't... I think he wants to switch it over, but he decided to make a late Reaper. Which seems to be intentional. But an interesting choice. Yeah, the Reaper comes out. Gives him some more long-winded scout. I mean... Yeah, the Reaper, an interesting choice at this stage. Not switching over the factory. Does the Reaper... The Reaper technically outranges Adept, but only because of attack animation time, so not super reliable. Nothing out of the factory, and now slapping a Tech Lab on, so some serious... Well, I mean, the one scouting Hellion, and then slapping a Tech Lab on. So not super decisive out of Vindicta, just kind of getting... Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, no. Oh. Uh-oh. How does this happen? Not the ideal setup here. Is there a force field? Uh-oh. This is a surprising amount of potential damage for one Hellion, but thankfully a Stalker comes in to save the day before one Hellion can do inordinate amounts of damage. Meanwhile, Vindicta's lining up for a strong 2-base push. Throwing some tanks together, a Raven on the way. He's got Tech Labs to switch off with the racks as well. I think Galaxy is a great setup here to actually deal with it, because instead of opting for an actual, like a blink push or any sort of real pressure, he's taking a third, which means by the time a tank push rolls up and rolls around, he should be able to get towards charge and enough gates. Assuming he gets a decent scout here, of course. Hallucinated Phoenix, Galaxy, making sure he has the information, and I think this... Yeah, Galaxy sees everything he needs to see about exactly when he needs to see it. Yeah, this could not have been more obvious what's happening here. Yeah, he knows. That is about as obvious as it gets. 3 Raxes, no third CC, Raven is done and switching over the add-ons. It's a 2-base tank push. Now the question is, how many probes, how many gates, how long can you slow it down? Good start. Tank makes things a little more annoying. Getting a couple SCVs. Adding on charge and +1 armor. Those are going to be very important pieces of solving the potential Terran puzzle. The SCV's being whittled down. Not sure he's lost only 1 Stalker. Keeping 4 Stalkers means you can... 1 volley can kill SCVs. Adding more gates. 57 probes. Solid number. Chrono boosting +1 armor. Galaxy playing this real well. You know, like, Vindicta knows Galaxy knows. Well, you don't really have any options. There's not much wiggle room. You don't really want to move out too far before +1 combat shields and stim, because then your army just gets run down by charge lots. But if you take too long, then it gets run down by way more charge lots. So those are your 2 prevailing options. An interesting choice. Vindicta, instead of taking the obvious route of putting everything together, he's going to split it up and hope to divide and conquer. I think that's a strong... Oh, or he's just looking to flank the Stalkers. There's only 4 of them, so not a devastating loss if it is a loss, but still bothersome. Oh, he's trying to... Oh, what a play. He gets 2 of them. Quite a dramatic move for all that. +1 armor is done. Warpins are continuing. He recalls 2 Stalkers, which seems a little gratuitous, but the army's coming across. The thing is, Galaxy has about as much as he needs. Anti-armor missile is going to be a huge deal, but the charge lots... Anti-armor missile hits more of the Terran army than otherwise, and immediately Vindicta forced to retreat as he Dorito dusts his own units. The Raven is down for the count, and Galaxy catches Vindicta halfway across the map. Oh, you gotta be careful not to get caught between a rock and a hard place here. He decides to fight, but the rocks are making things a bit difficult. Galaxy looking to keep his team alive, managing his economy and his army well, and now a potential counterattack. He's got vision. In fact, he's looking to add to that vision now. He just used his recall on 2 Stalkers, remember, though. That is a potential issue, and he just warped in on the other side. So that makes this double drop a lot more dangerous than it'd usually be. He's going to go straight for the pylon that powers many of the gateways. Down it goes, 5 gates with it. He's forced to attack in. Unfortunately, a little bit of a mismanaged counter, and this is going to allow Vindicta a potential defense. There is a lot going on in his main. The Whittle Mines are burrowing, but Galaxy's kind of forced into this fight. Oh no. Never base trade a Terran. And suddenly, I mean, Vindicta's struggling a little, but he's gutted the main. All the production, the upgrades, and then the bio army. Unfortunately, Galaxy kind of walked into this one. There's no recall. There's no units. There's no production. And now, there's no more Genesis Gaming. As Vindicta capitalizes. I don't even think he knew that the recall was on cooldown. I'm pretty sure he didn't see it. But it was just a fortuitous turn of events. Very quickly from losing most of his army to winning the game for Vindicta. Always having something out there. And that means your first, and I think not unexpected, but your first finalist will be Team AlphaX. With a 4-1. Pretty decisive over Genesis Gaming. I'm not sure how the Exon team match is going. Without spoiling it, I will check. It looks like it does continue, so quite a match. But if we do have the first replays, we can take a look. But congratulations to Team AlphaX. Now in the finals, they will be facing... Oh, who's on whose team? Well, I know at least several of these players. Okay. The problem with Team Exon is they're both going to have the Exon tag. But, let's jump in. I think I can figure out this one, though. Yeah, the first match is easy enough. Welcome back to the North American Apprentice Team League Semifinals number 2. Cham starting things off out of context. Probably via something in the countdown or in the lobby. In the top left, though, for Exon Nina division. Exon had so many great NA players. And also Skylar. That they had to split them up into 2 groups. So, for Exon Nina division, it is Skylar, who is well versed. His WPM very high and his APM almost half of it. And in the bottom right, I think you can guess which division he's on. The title player for Exon Cham division is Team Exon's Cham. We all make mistakes in life, some more than others. Cham already psyching out. I mean, Cham is probably the second best. Well, we'll see maybe at the end of this. The reason that Cham and Nina are split up is, one, Special is an honorary Korean for now, and I don't think Special wants to run a team. Because then he'd have to be awake, ever. I am wow, talented. Now, I never know with Cham. I think, like, with many players, of course, I've noticed, I think it's not just Starcraft players, but this is, it's been pointed out to me before, maybe to some of you. When you type like this, like, other people on the internet, not that many, they type, like, complete sentences, but when you're talking to a Starcraft player, even if it's on, like, a Discord conversation that has, and not while during a Starcraft game, well, they talk like that. Because you got to make sure to get your trash talk or your important Hearthstone discussion in while still getting your opener down perfectly. So these players managing that. Unfortunately for Skylar, Cham managing that more than well enough to evade the Reaper, minimize losses, and get his 3rd. So, there you go. Thank you, Wolfgang, for gifting to the people. Maybe some of them will become master if they just played their placement in time instead of apprentices. All right, Skylar. At some point, and that point was several messages ago, it was too much personal information, and now, like, it's just getting a little gratuitous. I don't need your Tinder profile, okay? It looks like both me and Cham are out of your league, but if there are any takers, just cause I wasn't in the game, damn it, Skylar. Alright, gotta keep him on a tight leash, otherwise he just keeps talking. After as you could tell, everybody for the Reaper exchanges, the early conversation with the Reaper exchange, and then we jumped right back into the chat. The only micro to be done for the first few minutes. Our game sounds good, by the way. Jimmy's adjusted a lot of sound settings. Not too loud, not too quiet. You can hear the Marine without it drowning out my arguably mediocre / beautiful voice. And all the inspiring music. Three racks and a cloak man, a 2-base push. I mean, you think we would have asked this well before the whole second match, but you never know. And of course, the only S-tier Zerg early game unit, the Queen, making several cameo appearances. Brenda and her knitting crew. Skylar, come on, you gotta run in. You know. Cham is probably thinking, oh my god, this dude is definitely running in with his Hellions. Like, this was the most deserved Hellion surround. Like, he scanned, he saw the Lings go out of the base, and then he's like, this is a good place to be. And actually, he got out kind of fine. Like, losing 2 Hellions is about the best that could have done. Oh, unfortunately though, well, actually, unfortunately for who? Well, looks like both sides getting a little taste. Wait, who's I don't... Okay. It's like both players are trying to lose. I know that's obviously not true, but, they've both put great effort into not killing anything their opponent has. And it is an impressive display so far in not actually killing their opponent's units. So the issue here, the issue I see is that Skylar does not have a third command center. He's building racks 4 and 5. Cham is sitting comfortably, though he's going for roaches, which are just like not good. They're bad. And it's kind of a weird time to go roaches as well, especially without speed. Is he gonna go swarm host, or like either Cham is trolling, or like roaches are an odd choice, especially kind of late into getting lair tech. But maybe Cham has something special cooked up for us. Because statistically, Cham just, no matter what mental state Skylar is in, statistically, Cham is a significant favorite. Cham is usually one of the top 8 or so players on the ladder, where Skylar, on a good day, would be several times that. Still very high up, maybe higher than he deserves, but a confidence goes a long way in StarCraft 2. And speaking of confidence, here come the boys! +1/+1 ain't yet done. Roach speed isn't there. The hive has started. The Hydra dead, and surprise! The boys, everyone's here. Cham has not nearly enough units. And Skylar, if he just, instead of using this to clear creep, tries to win the game, he may very well do so. There just isn't really anything from Cham. He stims all his Marines. Who needs? Well, he needed the Queens. The Queens would be nice. The boys are tanking. The tanks are also moving forward. The Roach Ward itself is vulnerable. He almost could get the Roach Ward. Unfortunately, Roach speed finishes, and +1/+1 is not long behind it. But Skylar has jammed himself in between half of the bases. The upgrades just barely finishing. Very lucky for Cham here. But Skylar with a deadly 2-base push. He's coming in, he's stimming, but is he winning? That remains to be decided. The tanks potentially adding some friendly fire. Cham not able to even build more roaches. He's got Hydras in production. No upgrades on said Hydras. The hatchery itself is vulnerable. Skylar was a couple seconds away of stopping both upgrades and roach speed. So, very fortunate for Cham that's even done, but this is still a precarious placement for most of his units here. He kills the Spore, he gets into the mix here. Some corrosive biles coming out, the Queen microing back. It looks like Cham might be barely able to put together enough. But only just. Oh, Skylar. Not quite. He doesn't quite go straight for the throat there. He does spend a little time moving back and forth, and I mean, like, it never should have gotten that close. It never should have been remotely close. But instead, Skylar was probably 10 seconds away from winning this game, if not less. because if he had killed both upgrades and roach speed, it's very likely that Cham dies. Cham had every opportunity to ready himself for this, but he kind of went into autopilot, I think. So now, yeah, now that's not going to happen again. Now Skylar is we're in that awkward scenario where it did really well, but it didn't win the game. So there's only one more option. And there's only so many more boys. And this time, I'm hard-pressed to see success in the future. But Cham, a little close for comfort here. Skylar is a bit of a one-trick pony, but he turns that trick so well. That's how the saying goes, right? A very, very talkative pony indeed. And here we are. Well, the tanks will siege. Pretty nice position. If fungals get involved, this army is incredibly vulnerable. A couple free hydras are the best kind of hydras. He's taking it slow. The Zerglings will force the issue on the other side of the map. There's Zerglings in the main. Skylar is on a limited time only push. Every second is a good second for Cham. There's not much time here to do anything else, as every other SCV will die. This is not the time for caution. Every tank will unsiege, which is a lot of tanks to unsiege. The potential fungals. Lurkers are on the way, which is going to be tough for someone who might not have any orbital commands to deal with. The lurkers are done. Are there any scans? There will be a single scan in just a moment. Does he spot the lurkers? He's not going to get them. It's not the time to be slowly tank pushing in. And Cham takes it. But Skylar almost just slipped that one out from under him. And Skylar beating Cham would probably be a significant blow to the full team game plan of Cham. So, a marginal yikes from me there. As Skylar putting up a strong effort. That's how he gets you, right? Like the Han Solo approach. Where, a bit of a scoundrel. Yes. Seems incompetent, but beneath that is quite a trickster. That you underestimate him and suddenly, well, bad things, your battle station is now vulnerable. Or something along those lines. Alright, and we're just going to change the colors up every game, even in the inter-team games. So that's amazing. So, yeah, in the red is Exon Cham's Ruichi. I have it on good authority. And in the top left is Exon Nina's marginally easier to pronounce, Ryan. Protoss versus Protoss. A matchup we've seen much of throughout this tournament, and a matchup we've seen many creative, scrappy, interesting games. What other caster words can I use? Some tenacious plays, some aggressive strategies, and so much more. Just gives him a a strong slap across the back as he tries to place that cybercore. A mild delay physically, but a massive delay mentally. As the probe duels continue. It is annoying. Both players know what's happening. It's always fun when you see that happen and then you see them make a mistake back at their base. It's like, aha! I'm validated. But that has yet to happen. Stalkers for both sides. Chrono Boost on the Cyber Core. For Ryan, Chrono Boost allocated. Held on to, actually, for a Ryuichi. Yes, one of those. Wait a second. That's not an adept type wall. That's not the right wall. I mean, you could slap a gate there, but Ryan's like, wait a second, and he builds two. Maybe it's part of the build, but I have a sneaking suspicion. He's like, wait a second. Yeah, I thought that wall was not. That ain't right. I don't know. So he builds two adepts, and who knows? Two adepts are the most besides probes, adepts are probably the least amount of units to cause the most amount of damage. Probes definitely far and away by an order of magnitude the greatest unit to damage ratio in the game. Like, no question. There is no unit that has done as much damage as a small amount of probes. Well, this is awkward. But wow. He sneers down upon him with a glint in his eye and a dark shrine next to his pylon, which is a bold move. Wait, did he see it? Well, that's what and then he just gets two adepts in his base, so that's terrible. You see, this is what happens. You can be clever all you want, but then you got two adepts in your base. Everybody ESL Pro Tour until there's two adepts in your base. Yeah, he very optimistically had a probe. I'm sure holding on to 150 minerals for a gateway there. What are you here for, probe? Are you getting paid enough for this? Do you have 150 minerals at all times banked up ready for a gateway? I mean, technically right now, yes, but does he just go DTs? Like, I mean, yes, but also, does he? Yeah, oh, okay. If you look in that base, what do you see? Very little. And to that I say, exactly. I'm sure Ryan also saw a similar amount of little. Yeah, the lack of information is information in and of itself. Let's go to the Ryan action cam. Alright then. Oh, no, don't let it in. Oh, uh-oh. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, well. A little bit of a jostling there. This is, he does rack up a few kills. He did kind of just let him in. Which is not ideal. When they are not sending their best, okay? Like, they're gonna murder your probes. He just gets out with the other one. So this is a bit awkward in that now there's nothing to really counterblink. Ryuichi with his bold DT strat may be able to just immediately capitalize with Blink. Ryan is a little slow on it. He'll have it in a moment. But +1 is on the way. The Robo changes things, obviously. Like, there's a lot of sentries. 4-0. So Guardian Shield changes these fights significantly. It more than counteracts the +1 attack. Wait, what am I watching? Okay. An Immortal definitely would be incredibly helpful. This is gonna get weird. Oh god. And you know what's almost as good as having an Immortal is imagining you have an Immortal. I mean, at least to Ryuichi. Like, to Ryuichi eyes, that Immortal is real. And Immortals are real good. I think, well, unfortunately, the entire army... Alright, here this goes. He just gets a probe and gets out. Don't want to risk it. Oh, and the DT's back in the most painful game of cat and mouse. That sentry could just be killed. Oh, he's going for the probe, but the probe outmaneuvers it. There goes the DT. The probe is blocked. Okay, well, that was... okay. All of that happened. Meanwhile... Oh, 3 adepts. So Ruichi's starting to get out to a bit of a lead. He's got more probes. He's got +1 to no forge, which is a significant upgrade advantage. But Ryan strikes back. Gonna kill a few probes at the natural. Gonna kill some in the main. Going to kill some, okay, in the main. Now, the Warp Prism itself is vulnerable, but there's the double blink opportunities. You see him there. Blink into the Prism pickup. The alley-oop. And this is all just setting the stage for a potential secondary push. Ryan bringing everything together. Gonna warp in one more round, and it's getting to be the time to do it. There are Stalkers in the main. Being extra careful about that Prism, which means not all the Stalkers are at the natural. Ryan's going to see that with a well-placed observer. He's got a couple hallucinated Archons in the way, just for good effort. There's not a single Immortal or Archon, but right now, Ruichi doesn't actually know that. He's still going to fight it heads up. He's going to see the hallucinations, maybe be emboldened. The thing is, that's still a lot of Stalkers to do. Wait, that Immortal is real. Oh, he misses the blink! He blinks forward! He doesn't find the Prism! He was looking for the observer, I think. And he didn't quite get it, and wait a second, he may have blunked one blink too far. If you snipe the observer, then DTs are the order of the day, but without the observer and all those Stalkers, he might actually have found himself in a game-losing position. There's still the upgrades, there's still charge done, but Ryan has stayed the course here. He's almost killed the Nexus, though you don't want to dive too far too fast. Gets the obs. Which means that threat is eliminated, and suddenly Ruichi, despite his brash moves and his bold plays, now finds himself down a base in Protoss versus Protoss, and that's in a bit of a uncomfortable situation, to say the least. A Forge is on the way, not only on the way, but halfway done with +1. +2 attack will finish for Ruichi, who has maintained most of his probes, but he doesn't have a third to mine from. So, oh, we don't have the income thing. Ryan is maintaining the good offense is the best defense. There are 3 Immortals now, which is a lot to contend with as they're pounding through the Stalkers. The Zealots are warped in to try to counteract them. One Immortal danced back. The Zealots trying to get into the action. There's still enough Stalkers to hold the line. Target's down 1. Ryan forced to retreat, and just like that, the supplies go back the other way. Another warp in. The Warp Prism itself vulnerable. Gets a few hits, but the Zealots actually warp in time, which could turn the tides of this fight. Another Immortal. Blocks to the back. The charge lots following things up, and Ruichi this time has gone too far. Ryan maintains a supply lead. Both players trying to dip their hand a little too far into the cookie jar, and the other player more than happy to blink it off. Is he gonna find the... Oh, he found the gate. That... Oh, it's so... He was so close. If he gets the Prism and that handful of charge lots. Charge lots, not so much for the actual damage, but just for tanking so much damage. Just having half a dozen charge lots can make it very difficult to actually eliminate the Stalkers. And he's got the Dark Shrine. Ryan is turning himself into a good position. He's maintained his economy. It's gotten a little messy. Down and dirty. Ruichi trying to make some moves, but I think Ryan has solidified a solid unit composition. Those Immortals falling was a significant blow, but also just losing a critical mass of units in general puts Ruichi in a really rough spot. Was that the Prism that just kind of casually died there? Indeed it was. Prism kind of important at every stage of the game. And this is an army supply gap that even plus an upgrade advantage is going to be hard to bridge. Archons against no Archon. Shield battery overcharge can help a little, but not enough. The pylon itself might be vulnerable. Targets it down, cancels a few of those charge lot weapons. The Archons will cancel the rest. One way or another. The reinforcements on the way. A couple DTs on the other side, not nearly enough to counteract Ryan taking back one for Exon Nina. There you go. The roller coaster of Protoss versus Protoss we're used to seeing, but still kept us and the players on their tippy toes
New subscriber
right up
detected.
until
Less than
the
3.
very end. Alright, next up, the star player of Team Nina gonna join to face the technically retired, but it's not like you magically lose all your StarCraft skill when you post you're retired, of Exon Cham. And even this player still not abiding by the basic, let's all try to have a color scheme so that way anybody can figure out on whose team and not make it confusing for everyone involved. Let me introduce you in the top right for Exon Nina in a completely new and exciting color. It is the team founder and manager, Dricket. Dricket.
Shame.
Though there's like a better than 20% chance he did it just to spite me. So, like, there's that. And in the bottom left, the Maru of Canada. It's Masa. WCS champion. Now has, like, a real job. I think he what was it? Something that sounded very complicated he finished school with. Sounded quite intimidating, but he's moved into that career as well. But still, an avid StarCraft player. Like bioengineering or something. He's had enough of the Terrans, he wants to make the Zerg. Assuming that's anywhere close to correct. Masa, I would say, despite his less active status, still an incredibly heavy favorite in this match, as Dricket has already passed his comfortable drone count, and is attempting a one-base Zergling speed all-in. Unfortunately for him, this is all undone by a singular SCV scouting a lack of a hatchery and any amount of Zerglings, which could lead to a potentially very quick match. Now, the Reaper is going across the map. I don't know if Masa's really put together that this is all sorts... Like, this is a Heart of the Swarm level Baneling bust here. This is just straight up one base Baneling bust. It doesn't get any more blatant than this. But the Reaper will die, so Masa caught a little off guard. Maybe he didn't expect it to be speed specifically. Yeah, the command center's canceled. He may have expected this to be some sort of expander, or maybe roaches. But, well, Dricket, I think this is partially a bait. He's trying to get the bait overlord to drag some Marines. I don't think Masa's going to fall for that one. Well, I don't think... What? Are we going to make the Banelings? Alright, we will see. Dricket looking in, sees a bunker, which apparently confirms the need for... He's really trying to sell it. Masa knows what he's doing. He ain't buying it. Dricket really trying to hang that overload out to dry. But Masa is not taking the bait. Alright, well, here come the Banes. Alright. A strong start. Gets the bunker. The Marine's still firing, unfortunately. One more Baneling, gonna complicate things a bit. Okay. Not that much, though. Wow, the barracks almost died. So Masa going to rewall. And Dricket is now about to do the same thing again, but worse. Now, there isn't a bunker, but there are Hellions. And even if every SCV died, like even if every single SCV died, Masa would still have a comparable economy via mules. It would be almost equal. On top of the fact he does have 2 command centers, so this is not an upwards trend for the manager himself. Unless Masa just decides he's gonna build a like Masa's like he's not just gonna do it again, right? Like that it's not gonna do anything. But then again, that's why the Baneling bust is less popular even than like Roaches. Is because there's really no, it's all your larva. And then if it doesn't work, well, your options are gone. You have no, it's over. Alright. So Dricket's making it 2 drones like that's an option. There's a non-zero number of Banshees, which is a game-winning number. There is a queen, technically. Alright, so, looks like we're gonna have to pay extra to watch the rest of the game and see Dricket die. It's very, like, if he makes a spore, that's 1/18 of his economy. If he doesn't make a spore, it's the rest. So those are the choices here. Not that it matters now. Yeah. GJ! Masa will put another on the board for Exon Cham. And that'll bring us to match 4. Exon Cham making it. Putting themselves out to a lead. But a strong contender. I love Masa, but I died a bit inside, says Dricket. Well, you also died on the outside. You died in about every possible way there. It's like, oh, I really didn't want to knock my hero Masa out. It's like, Dricket, you're really overestimating the chances of that happening. Like, but to give him some credit. I really, Cyril is my hero, so I don't want to be too tough on him. That's what I always say when I face Cyril, because that ever happens. So, like, just give him a nice, clean build to deal with. Well, with all that said, going into match 4, in the bottom left, for Exon Cham. We're back to red versus blue, finally. The Zerg BioX. And most of you probably recognize as well. But for Nina's division, the Mexican Terran, Team Exon Special, gracing us with his presence. And a stiff challenger for BioX. BioX, a high Grandmaster player. Unfortunately, though, Special may be the best player on Team Exon at the moment. Though, I'd love to see some of them challenge that. Just in terms of being in Korea and putting his hand in GSL. Hands. That doesn't mean BioWise doesn't have a shot. Like, it's going to be closer than Dricket versus Masa, despite Dricket's protests. But it is definitely an uphill battle for BioWise. Fight me IRL, Dricket. That's not how we do this, okay? We only get brain damage from build orders, not from silly physical contact. You see, I've been social distancing for like 8 years. I'm way ahead of the curve, so I've already won this battle. I will not come out to acknowledge my victory nor my potential defeat, though. Don't worry. So you can claim it outside all you want. You can have the rest of the outside. I will relinquish that as long as there's an Ethernet connection wherever I'm currently located. Special opting for the flavor of the, well, really not even the month anymore, but the meta right now. Terran's gonna Terran. 3 CCs before Starport, as Terrans have just ratcheted up the greed. It's stuck. I really thought we would have trended out of it by now. Like, usually what happens is Terrans get real greedy, Zerg players find a way to punish it, and then the build order meta rotates to, like, and then Terrans do 2 base, which counters the early all-ins more regularly, and then Zergs go back to macro, so Terrans go back to 3CC. But the 3CC is now stuck around for quite a while. I feel like part of it is that Zergs feel comfortable enough going into the mid-game and just defending with queens, and Terrans have gotten better at defending early all-ins. Also, you could argue the map pool hasn't changed in like 8 months, and players have figured out that maps with a ramp up to the natural are almost impossible to attack into, and therefore, you can kind of just go 3CC almost every game with minimal risk, but I didn't say that. I'm just relaying that information. That some people may have said that at some point. Meanwhile, 2 Hellions. A real threat to 4 Zerglings, much less of a threat to 3 times that number. The Hellions Special was trying to micro with 2 Hellions on either side and loses 3 out of 4, so I give that 1 out of 4 stars. Would not recommend. That was not good. That was... I don't know why he did that, but that was bad. Don't do that. BioEye's handling it just fine. Queen's on one side, Ling's on the other. There's a Liberator on the way, but it did fly kind of straight past an Overlord. And now that, well, spots the Spore Crawler. Gonna be able to annoy the drones at the gas. BioEye's not really moving the... Bit of an awkward placement to move drones away. No lair and 1-1 yet, but watch this. There you go. Lair and 1-1 on the way. On the other side as well, we got Stim. 5 Rex. And the 3rd CC for special. So despite getting a few Hellions shaved off, and it's not really slowing anything down, especially since BioEye had no intentions of counterattacking.
New subscriber detected.
Thank you, Exon.
Hi, future me on YouTube. I am on the stream.
A little weird to talk to yourself. Okay, you gotta throw a camera on and put it on the internet. That way they just call it streaming. And you don't sound as weird. Still pretty weird, though. 5 rags done. Lair done, and what's it gonna be from BioS? Baneling speed. He's got 5 gases, which means... Mutaz! He's not adding any additional tech yet. I'm staring until I see the spire. Because he's not adding any Like, this is too much gas for banelings. It's just too much. I mean, you could make a lot of banelings. That is an option, but without something like Mutas or Hive, you're going to be hard-pressed to actually compete with Terran in the long term. Now, short term, sure, okay, fine. Long term, less fine. But Baneling speed is a few seconds out, as is 1-1. He's going to try to press the issue. The Baneling's in a bit of an awkward scenario, caught between a Hellion and a tank place. Or not. Meanwhile, 10 SCVs died. A Baneling 16 special. Getting hit left, right, and center. And losing things on all fronts. He doesn't lose the brunt of his Marines, but he lost the Hellions, and 16 SCVs is nothing to scoff at. I smell the Mutas, but I do not see the Mutas. BioIce starts as 2-2, adding more Banes on. He's just going for the Ling Bling. Just to spite me, I'm sure, with this. He does opt for a Hydra Den, which implies... Brandon Karen! What? How many... Passing on the right. Did we agree on that? I don't... Meanwhile, the Ling Bang, 2 tanks on the high ground make this an incredible effort. The infestation pit's about to finish. 2-2, slightly quicker for BioIce. Killing those SCVs is a huge deal. Something to slow Special's production down was necessary. And here we are. On the chase again. Hydralist speed is on the way. Special really trying to leapfrog these tanks up. He's up to 3 tanks. BioIce struggling to field quite enough Zerglings to overwhelm it. The Queens will tank a lot of the shots early. Only 1 tank on the high ground. BioIce pulls the trigger. The Banelings make their way through. The Queen's going to try to target Medivacs. The problem is that Lings and Banes just don't cut through what they need to. The Marines gunning down the Queens undefended now. Barely any Banelings, and by barely any, I mean 0. The rest of the Banes being morphed underneath the Liberator and the Terran Army, and Special is stimming, and Special is winning. It's all tied up 2-2. And that is why things like Mutalisks or even Hydras are necessary most of the time. Like, there are exceptions, but you can kill SCVs, you can kill Marines, but you really are walking on thin BioIce if you try to stay on Ling Bane for quite that long. But we have a revive coming out. BioIce coming in again against a revive from Team Nina. It's going to be Ryan versus BioIce in Game 4, as we've gotten past the 3 match mark. And it's tied up 2-2. So trying his hand. This matchup, all credit to Ryan. I give BioIce a slight edge. Special just showing that he can take a few punches and still the macro train rolls on. And he ties it up for his team. The team kill continues. Which division will make it to face Team AlphaX in the finals? Uh-oh. You don't...
I got a bad feeling about this.
Drones don't usually take such a scenic route so early in the match, or really at any time. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
New subscriber detected.
Thank you, Boris.
I've loved your content for this many. Holds up 7 fingers.
Okay, so Ryan is showing a cannon rush. But unfortunately, I think that will not be... well, BioIce... I don't know if BioIce realized that it's not a cannon rush. He just went by a gateway, so it's not a cannon rush. in one of the rare scenarios where the Zerg has actually scouted that early, because he has a hatchery in Ryan's natural. The requisite, actually going with 8 probes. 7 probes is enough to easily kill it in time, but he wants to... Oh, and he gets the Evo! There's a little splash of creep after the hatch is canceled. Coincidentally, maybe not coincidentally, just enough to place an Evo, or technically a spawning pool or something of that size. But a spawning pool is a little more expensive, so usually an Evo chamber, because the intent is less to actually have a building as to block theirs. Probes back. Drone. They killed the probe. I caught it, so give me some credit. But oh, and then the drone just dies. The probe was just setting. Oh, what a save!
What a save!
Oh, looking for more. Another dodge. The Adept's so dangerous. Yet. Oh, dead. Oh, another Adept. Not as dangerous, but also much less dead. But it looks like the Lynx are just going to kind of let it walk out. They're going to give it a strong look on the way by. Okay. Stalker will... Well, the Overlord sees the Robo. And the Robo is a bit of an awkward choice. It doesn't, like... A Robo Bay is now on the way for Ryan, so obviously inspired by the team captain Nina, with her almost reckless disregard for the meta in favor of a, some might say, overly complicated, micro-oriented, live hard and die fast strategies. Warp Prism Micro and basic Robo drops have been Nina's specialty for over a decade. So Ryan following suit. Oh, the probe! But is it? Wait, what am I watching? Another probe tries to save the day. Things are getting real complicated over here. I mean, they spot the Robo Bay, right? Like, I think the Prism has to go back and pick up the Disruptor. Prism has a lot of lifting to do. Puns fully intended. Well. BioS doesn't have that many drones to lose. 44, still a pretty comfortable number. Is there a Ruptor done? First Ruptor on the way, so. Oh, be careful with that thing. Alright, the Adepts, he'll tuck them into a nice, relatively safe position. And the Warp Prism gonna go home to pick up the slightly more high priority, the VIP units, if you would. Adepts, just not high class enough. They don't call it, like, I mean, come on, a Disruptor? It doesn't even have an auto attack like a pleb, okay? Only plebs have, even High Templar have auto attacks, but not the Disruptor. The only unit that Protoss has that doesn't have an auto attack. Is that true? I guess technically Oracles, you could argue, maybe. But Oracles are already stuck up. So, like, it's right in line with that. The Observer, but the Observer just sits there and watches like a weirdo. So, we already knew that. So everyone has their own thing. War Prism? No, the War Prism doesn't really count. So, like, now that we've just eliminated all these surprisingly large amount of other options, we're left with nothing but the Disruptor. Which I managed to get 5 kills. The Adept still tucked in over here. In co-op, the Warp Prism has an attack. Alarak has a war prism that has an attack. You know what it's called? The war prism. Emphasis on the war. Which is just so stupid. Okay, this is happening. Oh my god, this is maybe the most expensive possible way to clear creep. Here comes Ryan with this ragtag band of Protoss, which is it enough? I believe Adepts came in. Oh, the Queens. Wait, the Queen. Well, the Queens are actually a real dangerous part of this army. Juggling, disruptor shots, looking to find the mark. Colossus at the back. The Cirque du Soleil of Protoss here, juggling. Ghetto blinks. Here comes some Ruptors. There are Roaches and Queens and Zerglings. Oh my. The Stalkers have been firing. Eventually they will be targeted. The Colossus almost down. One Corrosive Bile getting involved. Backs off. I mean, like, BioIce has an economy still. The Queens always suffering the brunt of these attacks, but they can take it, alright? They're strong, independent units who don't need no support. Except eventually they do, but the Queen's eating so much damage and causing such trouble. There's still enough Queens to... Okay. Well, well, this is very bad. It's way too late to recall, too, so, like, that's a total disaster. BioIce gonna take it home. So that was, there were a lot, like, so Ryan had a bunch of, like, flaming swords he was juggling. Whereas BioIce kind of sat there and slapped him across the face. Like, in really, there's not a bunch of room for error with flaming swords. So... yeah, that was that game. And that puts Team Cham on match point. Finally, the big guns. Well, to an extent. Team Nina is on the brink of destruction. So, I mean, if there was ever a time in the bottom left, the captain herself, it's Team Exon's Nina. She was hoping it didn't get this far. Unfortunately, for better or worse, for Team choosing some very inspired strategies. And also Team Cham playing well. But it's all here. Match point. And revived as a challenger. It's Masa. Now, that is sus. Now, there's not actually anything super sus behind it, but the walling up, this isn't Bronze League Heroes where this is a standard build. No, no, no. That is an early scout out of Nina. Gonna find an early supply depot block. And all that raises are questions and depots. So, wow, Masa, just build the damn depot. Oh my god. At this point... Masa's over there, like, you're not paying by the hour. You already paid for the depot. Nina with one expand. Yeah. Nina, Masa has successfully given the impression that he's doing something very suspicious. Nina is scouring the map, looking for whatever that suspicious thing is. But the classic cheese is no cheese at all. The probe, the scouting probe dies, Reaper pops out, suspiciously standard, another probe coming in, It's just a 1-Rex expand, but with an earlier depot. That's the only difference. Coming in, not going to see the Expo because it was on the high ground. 2 probes have now died. Trying to figure out what Masa's up to. Unfortunately, Masa is up to the most obvious possible thing. Which is just a 1-Rex expand into 1/1/1. Nina opting for the robotics. They're gonna walk up. What's she gonna see? Ah, sees the command center, and that is when the bamboozling is finally exposed. That CC being done tells the whole story here. And suddenly... Yep. Down 2 probes and a lot of blood pressure level. Nina will have to reluctantly acknowledge that Masa isn't actually doing anything that requires early scouting, but instead has essentially just pulled a supply depot over her eyes. And gotten, like, it's not a lead, but both mentally, the probe count could have obviously been higher, both because you can chrono boost, you can much more safely chrono boost probes if you know it's an expand, and also by probes not being dead. That's also a good option. And now, of course, a robotics bay. The classic. Oh, Stalker. Stepping a little too far. Getting beaten back. Looks like Ryan had the right idea. Just not strong enough execution. Oh, the Reaper. Lazy. And now will be lazy no longer, as it is dead. The barracks ring around the add-ons. Adding stim. Surprised not a second... Oh, it is a second tech lab. Gravitic drive about to complete. Nino with 2 gates. A robotics bay. And a Twilight Council. So the tech shrubbery continues as we branch out in several different directions. Is this a Colossus drop? Yep. Here comes a Raven. Going to be spotted by the Prism. But neither of them are easily going to kill each other. The Raven, though, could... It's going to kill a couple probes. Maybe just 1? 2 probes? There is no blink, awkwardly. And then it just... Okay. Raven come back in. If there was blink, this would be an incredibly risky endeavor, but seeing the Robo and the Robo Bay kind of gives away that it's not. And of course, the Twilight just finished. So, Masa actually just saw it. A Viking and a medevac. The Viking, of course, counters the Prism essentially on its own. 1 tank. 1 tank makes things difficult here. Oh, that's barely out of tank range. The problem is Marines do a surprising amount of damage to Colossi. Like when it's just the Colossus. And intensely underwhelming Colossus drop thus far. Taking a lot of damage on a Colossus for about 5 Marine kills. That Colossus is more expensive than 6 Marines plus 200 gas, for reference. And also, of course, the time it takes on a Robo. The only choice is to dunk it right on the tank. Oh, but the Marauders do so much. Really trying to squeeze some value out of this. Trying to squeeze as much value out of the Prism as the effort it is to squeeze a Colossus into it. But both things are difficult in this scenario. Here we are. Masa just kind of working his way up to a solid lead. As when you go Colossus drop, and then At least the Warp Prism and Colossus are still alive. At least there's that. Everything else is pretty rough for Nina. And this isn't going to make it much easier. There's enough energy for a recall, though you don't really want to use a recall on a single drop. The army's moving out trying to intercept Masas. One Immortal going to try to hold the line. Is one Immortal enough? The probes, not the ideal choice either. One Marine, very unlucky. This is kind of awkward. Meanwhile, the scan spots the army. It's moving into a position to just threaten the main all by itself. The tanks are sieging up. Army gonna drop out, realizing Nina wants to engage. Interference Matrix scrambles one Colossus. The other one's badly bruised and now super dead. Drop at the natural. Masa tearing her apart right now. And none of these fights are working. Unfortunately, left with just not enough units at the front. Nina's gonna struggle to deal with both the drop in the main and the army backed up by the tanks. Vikings on the deck, not too terrible against this. The charge lot's chewing through. The stalkers doing their best. The warp prism actually warps in right behind the tanks, but the numbers aren't there. The medevac drop continues working its way through the mineral lines. It looks like in the most awkward of warp prism activities, the warp prism actually warps in enough directly on the tanks to minimize this. The drop is finally dealt with. Nina maintains 61 probes, but Masa still has continued production across that. The very first upgrade of the game, +1 infantry weapons for Masa will complete. Not looking to be outmatched. Nina slaps down 2 forges, but it's still very... Is there blink? No, without blink, these medevacs have almost free reign, kind of like that warp prism did in the last fight. Blink does start, but it's a long way off. Colossus walking in a treacherous path made for Reapers. Colossi can technically use it, but maybe they shouldn't. There's not enough energy for a recall in the main. The robotics itself is vulnerable. And with it, most of the splash damage potential. Oh, a medevac full of units. Alright, 10 supply down. But losing the robo and having no other splash damage is not making things any easier. The Marauder's kiting back. Nina is working with what little she has. 2 robos on the way. Armory and an engineering bay. Masa, like, it'll have the about this. There will be a point where either these drops work or they've gone too far. And this is borderline right now. The stalkers are targeting medevacs. Gonna get at least 1. Finding 2. The tank still doing damage. Nina's starting to draw closer in supply. Still has an okay probe count. Far off on the upgrades. Blink is getting closer to finishing. The bio ball is strengthening here. There's almost enough to just hold the line straight up against gateway units. There's only 1 Colossus. Oh. Here we go again. Hammering it home. On the main, trying to find a vulnerable angle. Dropping right on top of the Zealots. And with the +1 against 0-0, you don't want to fire a disruptor shot in your own main. The best you can... You know what? Actually, I revised my statement. The best you can do is kill a bunch of units. Unfortunately, working from the low ground up to the high ground, the Marauders are firing and not that much Protoss. I preemptively revised my statement. I was gonna say the best you can do is force them to pick up, but the Disruptor actually found the mark. Another drop towards the main. Nina has been in this scenario. Nina has a tendency to find herself in a tough situation, but still somehow claw it back. Partially because of those risky openers. Though it is getting... It's both getting better and worse. Better in that another medevac goes down, but worse in that Masa has a 4th command center on the way. You still got map control and a significant supply lead. The army composition for Nina isn't incredible. There's a recall of what? Enough to, like, the recall itself was the scary part. 12 probes have gone down in the last minute. I'm not sure, seemingly at 2 or 3 different bases. Another army going to be spotted. Nina scrambling back into position. Masa really trying to work the drops from both sides. This one going to find itself matched. Disruptors ward back the army, looking for another drop, heading towards the main. A drop in the back of the 4th, going to get gunned down, but a drop in the main finds purchase. Going for the pylons, going to depower some more gateways. There aren't that many gateways to speak of, let alone powered ones now. That brings it down to 4 powered gateways. Still a couple robos, though. The drop looking for the 4th. The Zealots chopping through anything right outside the main, but there's such little anti-air. The Vikings themselves are nearly uncontested. 1 Stalker going to try to match them. Nina still down 40 supply, but still refusing to break at any base. If Masa just brings everything together, it could be deadly. Another clutch of probes going to be the target of the Marines and Marauders. Shield battery overcharge utilized. Charge lots piling in from both sides, but so much bio. Here comes the cavalry. Stalkers and Zealots and Colossi, but Masa just has so much bio. Curveballs into the Marauders. There's so many Vikings, the Colossus is about to be knocked down. Indeed it is. Disruptors, off cooldown, finds a shot. Is it enough? No. Exon Cham is going to join AlphaX. Teams 1 and 2 in the regular season are going to be teams 1 and 2. Going into the finals. Nina putting up a strong fight for her team, but a tough opponent any day. Even quote-unquote retired. And that is going to be like the favorites made it through. But there were strong efforts from both teams. Good games for the fans. Masa bringing Team Cham through. And then for Team Alpha X was Vindicta as well. The Terrans holding it down. Going into the finals. So next week, or if you're watching on YouTube, like it and subscribe. And next Friday night will be the NA Apprentice Team League Finals. Wait, I think so. Next Friday. We will see. But very soon, TM. But, thank you for watching. Thank you, Dricket and Sugar, and all the teams and players for getting us this far. And, of course, the fans. I hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill. We did it.